Hello, this is Scott Moore of the First Lone Scouts of the Baden-Powell Service Association. I'm going to be going over the requirements for the Tenderfoot Proficiency Badge. The first video in this series is going to go over the Scout skills and Scout knowledge. There are 7 requirements for Tenderfoot. We're going to be going over 4 of them in this video. First requirement: know the Scout law, promise, and motto, and understand their meanings. The Scout motto, from Lord Baden-Powell, the founder's initials of his last name, BP, be prepared. When asked once, be prepared for what? Baden-Powell responded, why, for anything, with the idea that the information and the knowledge you pick up in scouting will better prepare you for life. The Scout law is given by having the right hand raised with 3 fingers up in the middle, your thumb touching the nail of your pinky as they're folded over. The Scout promise, or the Scout oath, is given as, on my honor, I promise to do my best, to do my duty to God and my country, to help other people at all times, and to obey the Scout law. The Scout law has 10 points to it. A Scout is trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, and clean. The meaning of these, as originally intended, as found in Scouting for Boys, the original book written by Lord Baden-Powell, which started off the scouting movement. A Scout is trustworthy. A Scout's word is to be trusted. Loyal, helpful. A Scout is to, his duty is to be helpful and useful to others. A Scout is friendly to all and a brother to every other Scout. A Scout is courteous. A Scout is kind and friendly to animals. A Scout obeys his Scoutmaster, his parents, and those he works for. A Scout is cheerful and smiles and whistles in the face of all obstacles. A Scout is thrifty and knows how to save money. And a Scout is clean in thought, word, and deed. The second requirement for Tenderfoot is to know the Scout salute and the handshake and their importance. The Scout salute, again, given with the 3 fingers, right hand to the forehead, or if you are carrying a Scout staff in your right hand, the Scout salute may be given with the left hand, 3 fingers across the middle of the chest. The Scout handshake is a normal handshake given with the left hand as opposed to the right hand. The reason why is when Lord Baden-Powell fought in the Boer Wars in Africa, when some of the African tribes surrendered to him, they insisted on shaking hands when they made peace with the left hand. When asked why, it was explained to Lord Baden-Powell that most people shake with the right hand, but the right hand is where you hold a weapon if you're going to be defensive or combative. With the left hand, you carry your shield. Anybody who is willing to lay down their left hand and offer it for a handshake and expose themselves by laying down their shield, that is a true sign of trust. Baden-Powell was moved by that and decided to adopt that as the handshake for scouting. Be able to make and know the meaning of the woodcraft trail signs. This is Tenderfoot requirement number 3. Trail signs can be important if you're going to have, say you're on a group outing, and if the patrols get separated, you're going to want to know which way everybody went. So, there are many different ways of doing the patrol signs. You can do it with blades of grass, you can do it with pebbles, you can do it with rocks laid on the ground. The common denominator in most of these is you want to lay out essentially an arrow using whatever media you have at hand. If I was going to be heading in that direction, for instance, I might lay out pebbles in what appears to be an arrowhead pointing in that direction. If I was going to do it with, let's say, high grass, something in a tall herb layer or a shrub layer, if you're familiar with the forest layers, tufts of grass can be tied together and bent in the direction of travel. So in this case, the tuft of grass is leaning in the area that I want to go. If you have not a lot of pebbles, you don't have grass around, if you have rocks, you can use rocks. Typically the way trail signs work with rocks is you make a stack of rocks and a smaller rock to indicate the direction of travel. So in this case, you can think of it as the large stack of rocks is here. You would move downhill because downhill is easier, and that indicates the direction of travel. So in this case, I'd be moving from here that way. That would be the direction I would head in upon coming to that trail sign. If I was going to use sticks, I could very easily just lay out sticks in the direction or in the shape of an arrow. Sometimes it's common to elevate the back of the arrow where the fletchings would be, so it's off the ground. Again, you can use that to kind of think of, if the back of the arrow is off the ground, I'm moving downhill in the direction I want to go. Similar how the rocks are laid out the same way. If you stack rocks, you move them tall pile in the direction of the smaller pile. Besides indicating direction, you might also want to indicate, say, where a cache is located. If you're going to hide something or leave a message behind, you can inscribe on the ground a box or lay it out with sticks, and inside the box indicate a number of paces with an arrow. And that would mean that the cache or the message or whatever you're looking for is hidden 5 paces in that direction. Other symbols, besides telling people where to go, you want to be able to tell people where not to go. So if you're using pebbles, you could actually lay out just a line of pebbles across a path to indicate do not go any further. This is the end, stop here. Do not go this way. With sticks, you can simply cross 2 sticks with an X, which would also indicate not to go this way. And then finally, there's a symbol for went home, which is one rock surrounded by several small pebbles in a circle. So it almost looks like a bullseye. This is essentially a note on the trail to indicate that the person has left, the person you're tracking has left, gone home, returned to camp or base. Let's see, we're going to skip requirement number 4 right now, which is know the composition, history, and how to fly and fold the American flag. We're going to do that in a separate video. I'm going to jump ahead to requirement number 5, which is know certain uses of the Scout staff. This is my Scout staff. The simplest thing I use it for is as a walking stick. I can also use it as a spar if I'm going to be making any sort of constructions. I can use it as a tent pole. I can use it to make a stretcher if I have 2. I could use this and the Scout staves of several of my companions to build a tripod or some other gadget around camp if I need to, using lashings. In certain situations, it can be used to control a crowd and be used as a barrier as well. You can also use it to probe depths if you're near water or near marshy or swampy land to see how deep the water is. You can also, it's probably a good idea if you're going to spend a lot of time in the outdoors, you can actually mark your Scout staff with inch, feet, yards, centimeters, meters, whatever's appropriate, or both maybe English and metric on different sides if you want. So you can use it as an instrument for measurement along the trail. Get an idea how far things are between one another, how long you have to go with a certain rope or something like that. So you can use it for hiking, a little bit for protection. You can use it to stamp out or put out the last embers of a fire or something like that, or a brush fire or something like that, something small you can beat it out with. So it's besides just being a stick, it can be a very handy tool. With these, for those of you who are visual learners and prefer not to read, I hope this video is useful to you in going over 4 of the requirements for the Tenderfoot Proficiency Badge. We've actually covered 1, 2, 3, and 5, which are the scout skills and the scout knowledge you need for the Tenderfoot Badge. We'll be doing another video in the series on rope use, where we'll talk about how to do different knots and hitches and how to whip a rope or fuse a rope if you need to repair a rope. And then we'll do another video as well on the history of the American flag. So I hope you find these useful. Please tune in.